The stock screen and control buttons that come with the Bambu Lab P1 printers are garbage. Every time I have to touch those control buttons, I get super frustrated. They suck. The buttons seem to press each other. Like if you click up, sometimes you're also clicking left. It's a pain in the butt. And I was super excited when BigTreeTech reached out. They sent me a Panda Touch, which is an auxiliary screen for one of your Bambu printers. So full disclosure, BigTreeTech did send me this unit for free as a sample, but I do unbiased reviews, so I'm going to tell you the honest truth about this. Installing the screen was super easy. All you do is plug a USB cable into your Bambu printer's motherboard, and you run that outside of the enclosure to the base of the unit. Once the base is installed, you can just take the screen, slap it on there, and it'll turn right on. The unit itself has a 5-inch IPS touchscreen, and it has a battery life of 30 minutes off the dock, which is interesting. I thought it would have a higher battery life because it is so thick. It's about 5/8 of an inch thick, and it is a brick. Let's talk about connectivity. This device is very easy to set up on your Wi-Fi. It brings up an on-screen keyboard for you to type in your SSID and password. And once up on your Wi-Fi, then you have the option to either connect it to your Bambu cloud account and it'll automatically pull in your printers and utilize them through the cloud, or you could use LAN only mode. Now, pretty much all of my testing was done in cloud mode. I did try and set up LAN mode for a few days, and I ran into some problems because my router puts out both a 5 gigahertz and a 2.4 gigahertz access point, and it seemed like this would hook up to the 2.4, and my printers would sometimes jump between 2.4 and 5. It would cause the Panda Touch to lose the printer and not be able to communicate to it, even though they're still technically on the same network. It may have fixed this in a firmware update, but I believe that I am running the most recent update. The current firmware version of this unit is 1.0.4.1. This brings me to an interesting topic of over-the-air updates. This unit does support doing over-the-air updates, but it's more of a manual process than what you're probably used to. When I think over-the-air updates, I think about what like my Bambu Lab printer does, where updates just show up on the screen and you could say, yes, I want to accept this firmware, and it downloads it and installs it onto the unit. In the case of the Panda Touch, you have to proactively look out for updates, and if you decide you want to update, then you have to access the device's web page and go to their GitHub page, download their firmware, upload it to the device. So it's a very manual process to get this thing updated. Once you're all up and connected, the Panda Touch supposedly supports 10 devices. I only have 2 Bambu printers, so that's all I could test with, but I was able to set them up and control them each individually using the Panda Touch. So if you want to group printers together and send out batch prints to multiple printers, Panda Touch does say on their website that you have to make sure whatever file you're pushing out is compatible with those printers. So I don't see like how I would have a group with 2 different Bambu printers and be able to send out files to them. This is more for a case where you have a print farm and you have 10 Bambu P1Ss and you have the same file that you want to ship out to all of them. This could give you an easy way to push that out. I'm going to go over a general overview of the user interface and the features that are available on this. The user interface is meh. I don't know. I am not very happy with how they labeled some of the buttons, and I also think that there was a lot of potential for what they could have did in the user interface that they didn't do. Starting off with the home screen, it's very boring. There's a few quick buttons on the right. Specifically, the one that I like the most is being able to turn on and off the chamber light on your printer. This is something that I have to do very often. My printer light is just on when it's idling, and I just want to go quickly turn it off. There's a nice quick button to do so. And then there's some other quick buttons for Wi-Fi, temperature settings, etc. So looking at the control screen, this is interesting. So you have a easy button in the middle to home your printer. X and Y are kind of self-explanatory. You can move them by 1 or 10 increments. But the Z-axis is where it starts to get a little confusing. There's a button that points arrows in both directions, and then there's one that points them together. And what does that mean? You know, I'm not a user interface designer, but to me that's pretty damn confusing. Just testing it right now, the 2 arrows that point together actually move the Z-axis up, and pushing the ones that go away drop it down. There's no way I would know that without just pressing the button and seeing what happens on the printer. Another little user interface thing that's kind of weird, if I wanted to go and enter a hot end value, I could click on the hot end temperature, type it in, but then if I decided not to do that, there's no real good way of getting back. You pretty much have to hit OK. Well, you have to set a value to make it go back, which is just another weird user interface thing. Also on this screen, you can control all of your fans within the unit, and they have nice little gauges showing at what percent they're at. No complaints there. Something that is very cool is the filament screen. It allows you to see the filaments that are loaded on the external spool holder as well as in the AMS, and you can modify those values as well. This is something that you cannot do on the screen that's on the unit itself. So this is a nice feature to be able to quickly say, here's what filament I'm loading into my AMS, and it automatically loads into your Bamboo app. The file browse screen shows you two options. One, you can see what are the files that are stored on the printer, and then also you can check out what files are on the USB flash drive that you have plugged into the side if you have that plugged in. In settings, there's not very much except for Wi-Fi settings and being able to change how long the display stays on before going idle. And then the last screen lets you see what printers you have added to the device and what groups they're a part of, and simple things like that. So I received this Panda Touch a few months ago, and I've been running it on my P1S ever since. And I wanted to wait before putting out this video because I wanted to try using it with multiple printers, including my A1. And that kind of changed my whole opinion on the product, because the A1's touchscreen is kind of nice. The A1 touchscreen is like a way cleaner version of the Panda Touch. It supports all the same features except for being removable, which I don't really understand why you would want to do that. If you want to check status of your printer, you can just look at your app on your phone, unless you're in LAN only mode, I guess. But it also just looks a lot better. Like when you're printing an item on your A1, it shows you a picture of the model that it's printing on the screen. I feel like this is something that the Panda Touch team could have did. They just put this little picture of a panda up with the name of the model, and it just kind of gives you this boring look. But when you look at the A1's touchscreen, you're like, oh wow, that's pretty cool. So overall, is the Panda Touch worth $60? To me, I don't think so. I think that it does add a little bit of value to your printer by giving you the quick access to turn on and off the LED in the chamber. Maybe if you're doing maintenance to the printer and you want to bring the Z-axis up and down or move the X and Y axes around, it gives you a little bit of an easier interface, even though it's kind of confusing the way they labeled the buttons. The fact that it's removable and it has a 30-minute battery life doesn't really do anything for me. I think that maybe if you have a print farm and you have 10 of the same printers that you want to push the same file to and, you know, continue to crank out mass 3D prints, this might be a good option for you. But for me, who's just somebody who has one P1S, one A1, I don't really get any benefit from the whole grouping functionality that this device provides. Once again, I want to shout out BigTreeTech. I super appreciate you guys sending me out a device to try, and I'm sorry that I have this opinion, but I just don't think it's worth $60 for consumers to go buy. Though, they did send me their Panda Lux, which is the LED upgrade that they sell for the Bamboo printers, and it's only a $10 upgrade, and it makes my printer look awesome when it's printing, especially when the office is a little dark. It makes the whole thing light up. It looks great. If you want to see a video on that and how easy the install is, go check out my video on that. So, what do you think? Leave it down in the comments below. Do you think this is worth it? What do you think about the UI design? 30 minutes of battery life, like why is this thing so thick? Feel free to leave a comment down below. Subscribe to the channel. I got some cool things coming up, and thanks for watching.